use your imagination. How much do you dream? Have you ever had a vision that seems so far to reach? But I ain't trying to preach to you, but I'm really concerned about the road you choose.
Welcome to HCJ, His Contagious Joy, and we are so glad that you decided to tune in with us today. And y'all are in for a very, very special treat. We have in the house with us today, well, I'm not going to tell you much about it right now, but I just want you all to know that HCJ is a place where you can come and be blessed, be inspired, and be encouraged. And not only that, but we like promoting people in our community, business people, professional people, and people that have changed lives, that is changing lives. And I'm sitting right next to a brother right now that is changing many lives all through motivational speaking and just his heart and passion for people. So y'all, I now want y'all to give a warm welcome to Gene Mosley in the house tonight.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So glad that you are here and that you took time out of your busy schedule, because I know that you are very busy as myself. I know we both teach in the school and teach children with behavior issues and problems. And so I was reading your bio and I found that we have many things in common. And I saw that as an adolescent, you face many challenges, and that's what your book is all about, that I'm so excited. I remember you asking me about a book over a year ago. You remember that?
Yeah.
Well, I was at work, and you hadn't even started writing on the book, had you?
Nope.
And y'all finna tell y'all something about this brother. He ain't no procrastinator. Because me and Gene was talking, and he was asking me how you get a book published. And y'all, his book is already out, and I got 7, ain't even out yet. So y'all pray much for me. Y'all give it up for him. I'm just so excited. And his book is called The 13 Principles for Becoming a Valuable Success Story. And I'll say that again in case I messed it up. But it's the 13 Principles for Becoming a Valuable Success Story. And we'll get into your book in a minute. But I just want to know, Gene, what motivated you and what inspired you to do what you're doing now, and just the heart and passion to change lives and to see people and see the very same things that you went through, and then want to make a difference in their lives so that they too can be a success story. What sparked all that in your life?
Well, what sparked it for me is I grew up in a single parent home. My daddy left when I was 11. So that was a lot of challenges I had to deal with. And over the years, I noticed as I came out of poverty, came out the hood, when I start to look back, I noticed that many of my homeboys I grew up with were either going to the pen or going to jail or getting killed. For a matter of fact, about 3 weeks ago, I had one of my homeboys that I grew up with. You know, he never had no direction in his life. Well, I found out that he got in a shootout with a SWAT team and got killed. And as I kept hearing these stories year after year, my goal was to take those youth that didn't have fathers in my hood or in other places and teach them those principles that I use in my life that allowed me to become successful. Because if we're going to see more positive, not just black men, white men in this country, it has to start when they're young. Because if you don't have any direction, I don't care who you are, you're going to go in the wrong direction and you're going to wind up in the pen or you're going to lose your life. So I'm trying to save as many youth as possible.
And you know what? The Lord encourages us in His Word to train up a child in the way in which he should go.
Exactly.
So we have to start. You made a very great point, a very important point, that we have to start when they are young. And if the kids don't have the direction and the structure they need, the wisdom and knowledge that when they grow up, especially in this world we living in today, it's a crazy world out there. If they don't have those tools, those things, then they just not going to make it. So we thank God for people like you that are inspired to not only go out and teach at schools, but speak at schools. So tell us a little bit about you going out and speaking at different functions and things like that. I know that that's your professional, and that's what your profession, excuse me, and that's what you do. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, let me tell you how it started. It all started when I decided to take on this thing called public speaking, something I was afraid of. And I joined these Toastmaster clubs, started giving these speeches. Now, I was afraid to do it because of my street dialect. I felt I won't be able to speak as better as many people in there. But when I got in these Toastmaster clubs, I started winning all these speech competitions. I was like, hold on, all these people tell me I can't speak well, but I'm winning competitions. Well, from there, I went to this organization called the National Speakers Association. That's when I discovered I had a gift for telling stories. I got mentors. And this lady came up to me named Melinda Marcus. And she said, hey, there's this juvenile detention center, and there's a lot of young men in there just like you that don't have fathers. I believe you can go in there and make a difference.
Absolutely.
So I decided to go in there, and I gave a keynote speech to about 100 young men. And when I was done, one of the kids on the front row raised his hand, and I didn't even think he was paying attention to me. He said, hey, Mr. Mosley, is this a one-time event for you, or you're going to come back and talk to us again?
Wow.
So I said, I'll tell you what, raise y'all hand if y'all want me to come back. All of those young men raised their hands.
Wow.
So this is what ended up happening. I created a program, a behavior change program. It was focused on building life skills, job skills, because here's the thing I discovered.
Yes.
You can have a kid in juvenile jail, detention centers. You can tell them that their life matter. But if they don't believe that, it doesn't matter at all. So what we want to do is to help build the self-worth of the individual. Yeah. How we did that is by teaching them practical skills that they can use, so when they get out of juvenile detention center, they can apply themselves in society, so therefore they won't be a burden on society. They will actually be an asset to society. That's where we started first. Now, the toughest thing we have to deal with is what I call an empty closet. Now, my book is entitled Overcome Your Empty Closet. Now, people ask me, why in the world would you write a book about an empty closet? Well, let me explain. See, when I was 11 years old, my mama told me when I got home from elementary school to go in the room and ask my daddy if he was going to leave the family. Now, let me keep it real. I thought she meant maybe he going to another country because he did work on the railroad. I mean, it's my daddy. I love him. So I say, I'm going to go in and ask him. I say, Daddy, are you going to leave? He say, nah, son, I'm not going to leave. I'm going to put us in a better home outside this bad neighborhood. So, of course, I believed it.
Exactly.
2 weeks later, I go into my parents' room. I open up my daddy's closet, and it's totally empty.
Oh, wow.
Now, at that moment, I felt like I wasn't good enough. I was not worthy, and my life had no value.
Yeah.
And that's what I call an empty closet moment. It's the moment in our lives when we feel we're not good enough. We have no value. We feel like our life has no purpose. And that's what I discovered in the juvenile detention center. So we had to help these guys overcome those empty closets in their life. And what those were is the abandonment of a family member. That was the number one thing we dealt with. But once we got past that, then we can help build the individual from the inside so they can have better production in their lives.
That is so wonderful. And I saw that you have 13 principles for becoming a valuable success story. That's what I started out saying. The name of your book is Overcoming Your Empty Closet. And the 13 principles, I noticed as I was reading through your book that you have a lot of your life stories in this book.
Yes, ma'am.
Every experience that you encountered from an adolescent up until, I don't know, just growing up in your youth and young adult age, you put in this book. And I love that because we are overcomers by the words of our testimony.
Yes.
And whatever you go through, you can better help someone else go through it because you done been through it.
Exactly.
And so I like that people like you are not afraid to share. Now, you were probably at one time, you had to overcome your fear you mentioned earlier of speaking. And you worried about how you were going to speak. But once God put a gift in you, it's in you. The ability is in you. The anointing is up on you and within you. And you can do anything you possibly want to do once you set your mind to it.
Exactly.
And you got to have a made up mind to just do it, though.
Exactly.
And then with you doing what you're doing and then publishing this book, I know it's going to help many, many, many people. I read through this book, and one of the things that I do want to talk about right here, I want to read what you've got highlighted in bold. It says, walking away from people that encourage you to engage in negative, unproductive activities and surrounding yourself with positive people who encourage you to engage in productive activities is your sixth principle that will allow you to become a valuable success story. Tell us more about that as far as your circle or people you should or should not hang around.
Okay, let me explain to y'all what a valuable success story is. A valuable success story is an individual who decides after they have become successful to use those principles that they have learned to teach others how to become successful in their life. It doesn't matter who you are. Maybe you had an addiction, you overcame that addiction. So when you talk to individuals with that same addiction, you give a lot of value to them because you're outlining a blueprint they can use in their lives that can allow them to become successful. So part of that is the people you surround yourself with. I learned the importance of being able to walk away from a crowd. It was one night when I was 15 years old. My friends and I went to Ashworld. That was an amusement park that we had, and we all decided to go. It was about 20 of us. So we go to this amusement park. Now, I had my mind made up. I wanted to play college basketball. I wanted to go to the NBA. I wanted to be the first to graduate from college. So that was my mindset. But the people I was hanging around, they didn't have those type of goals.
Come on.
So we decided to get on the bus. And when we go to Ashworld, to all my friends' credit, even though everybody was doing drugs that night, I decided not to. I was like, I'm going to stay focused. This is what I want to do. We get to the amusement park. Nobody steals anything. Nobody attacks anybody. But when we were coming back, it was different. So when we get on the bus, we fill up the entire back of the bus, right? And all the people in front are afraid because we look like a gang. And as we back there, one of my friends, whose name I'm not going to say because I want to protect the guilty. One of my homeboys got this great idea. He was high. He said, hey, y'all see that guy that's sitting in the front of the bus? He had on a work uniform. He was probably about 20, 25 years old. The oldest person with us was 16. And everybody's like, yeah, we see him. He said, okay, when the bus stopped, everybody's going to punch that fool in the face. Now, this guy sitting on the front of the bus, he's not bothering anybody. I'm the last guy, so we was going from biggest to smallest. Now, I'm thinking to myself, man, you know, when this bus stop, it's going down. I hope this guy wakes up because if he don't, he about to get thrashed. So I'm sitting there watching. We get close to the hood. My boy's standing over him just looking at him, and the people on the bus know something's up. The moment the bus stops, the guy's laying in the seat. You know, he tired from a long day of work.
I hope y'all didn't hit
my
that
homeboy turned around and just bow.
No.
He hit him so hard it sounded like he slapped him. The guy woke up and then one after one. There's 20 of us. They hit him in the face. They were supposed to hit him once. Some hit him 5 times, 6 times. And by the time I got up to him, his eyes was kind of closed. He had blood come down his face. So I'm standing in front of him. Now, I have a decision to make.
That's it.
My homeboy standing out there saying, everybody call me Junior. Hit him, Junior, hit him. They're going to call the police. So now this is my opportunity either to go with the crowd or step away from the crowd.
That's right.
But I value myself. You see what I'm saying? When you become a valuable success story, when you value yourself, you start seeing the value in other people. Now, I balled my fist, and when I turned my body to hit this guy in the face, I stopped and run right in front of his nose. I stepped off the bus and all my homeboys said, you scary, you weak. But I knew at that moment that I was going to be something because I was able to walk away from the crowd.
That's right.
The majority of my friends that night are either dead or locked up because they never learned how to separate themselves from negativity. And that's what keeps a lot of people back. You're trying to do something in your life, but you got this circle around you of negative people, and that's why nothing happened to you. And you know what I like to tell you?
Yeah.
It is hard to swim off an island of negativity when you're surrounded by toxic waters.
That's right.
If you have a bunch of toxic people around you, you're trying to swim off this island, it's impossible. But if you surround yourself with blue water people, what I mean by that, people that's positive, that's going to encourage you, you will have a lot of clear ocean in front of you that allow you to swim to your destination. But it all starts by getting those toxic people from around you.
That's right. And that is a very great point you made right there. We always used to say accentuate the positive and eliminate the negative. And oftentimes we have a lot of negative people or things in our life that keep us from getting to where we're supposed to be headed. And we, like you, can make the right choice. Because it's all about making choices. That's what we tell the kids every day, right?
Exactly.
At school every day we say, you got to make the right choice. It's up to you. You know, we can't make them do the right thing. But we can definitely be there for them as that encouragement piece to encourage them and then redirect them in the right day. You know, we spend most of our days redirecting students or redirecting people to do the right things. And so that is very beautiful. I did read about that toxic I can't even say toxic good, y'all, but that toxic water, and that is such a valuable thing to let people know. That who you hanging around might be your hang up. Might be the reason why you can't go up.
Exactly.
So we got to be careful in anybody. It's not just our young folk, but it's our young adults. It's our youth. It's adults, period.
Exactly.
You know, so many times people in your life, the enemy whisper in your ear too.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have people in your life that telling you why you can't do it.
Exactly.
Or God didn't tell you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you ain't got the money to do it.
Exactly.
But every time that person that is encouraged, that is motivated, that person that believes can change your heart and change your life just by doing what you do.
Exactly.
Doing what you do right to this day. You decided.
Yeah.
And you made a decision. I'm going to better myself. And then I'm not just going to keep it to myself. I like your voicemail. I can't exactly remember what it say, but I called you one day to leave you a message, and I believe it said that your dreams is not all about, correct me if I'm wrong, but your dreams is not all about gaining, but it's about giving or something. Did I get close?
Yeah, well, it's what the voicemail says is that opportunities in life are like popsicles. Take advantage of them before they melt. And
Exactly.
the thing about that is many people, it's a lot of things they want to do in life, but
Right.
fear gets them. You know,
Right.
they don't realize one thing in my book, I talk about courageous action.
Yes.
Everybody has a moment in their life when it's something that they truly want, they
Mm-hmm.
worked for, they're prepared for. It will present itself in front of you.
Yes.
But I've discovered most people, when that opportunity shows up,
Yes.
they step back instead of stepping up. And
That's
when
right.
that opportunity is presented from you, it's in front of you, you have that dream or that goal you want to
Yes.
accomplish, you have to take initiative. And
That's
I
right.
learned that from this crazy popsicle man. We used to have in the hood, you know what I'm saying? The popsicle, y'all don't know, in the hood, the popsicle truck is very popular. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So
We call it the ice cream man, the ice cream truck.
It's for
Yeah,
real. And we
yeah.
hear that song, dun, 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 dun. Now, we was always broke,
Right.
but we loved when he came. And
Yeah.
so what we try to do is we always try to get something for free.
Right.
So when he drive up, we walk up and say, hey, Mr. Popsicle Man, you
Yeah.
give us something. And they
Yeah.
always had an accent. This dude be like, no popsicle, no money, no popsicle. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So one day I got tired of it. I said, he's not giving us anything for free. So I decided I was going to find a way to get a popsicle without stealing or trying to rob him. I wanted to get the right way. So my neighbor allowed me to cut his grass.
There you go.
And he said, I'm not going to give you money, but you see that lawnmower right there? If you bring your butt down here and take initiative and cut my grass, I'll pay you $5 every other week.
See.
Now, we was growing up on welfare,
Yeah,
food stamps. So I was
familiar with it,
like,
familiar with it.
$5 was a lot of money. You know, you
Oh,
get
yeah.
10 packs of noodles for $1. So you know what I'm
See,
saying?
20,
So I was
I
like,
think. No.
hey, yeah. And I was like, okay, so I cut his grass. And the next time the popsicle man came, all me and my homeboys ran out there. None of them had no money, but I had $10.
See.
So when I bought the popsicle from him, I stood outside with it in my hand. The sun was on it and it was melting. And then I thought to myself, this is what life is about. When you get the opportunities you want, you have to take the initiative. But just like
That's
that
right.
popsicle, if you don't take advantage of it quickly, that opportunity will melt
That
before
is
your
so
eyes.
good. That is so profound.
That's what I mean by that. So when you
profound.
have opportunities in life, they're like popsicles. So
Right.
you have to take advantage of them before
That
they
is
melt.
so profound. Never thought about it like that. You teaching me some stuff this evening, I tell you. Now, I want to ask you, did you change your voicemail? Because I ain't crazy, y'all. You said something about some dreams or something.
I changed my voice.
You did.
quite a
Okay,
bit.
I need to change mine. But you know what? Every time somebody call my voicemail, it's about Mary Kay, and just I'm going to the top 2%. But every time I get ready to change it, people tell me how inspired and encouraged they are about
Yeah.
it. And I've been having it on there about 5 years, and I just cannot bring myself to change it. But I'm
wow.
still doing Mary Kay, so praise the Lord, it's befitting. But anyway, I wanted to talk about one as we get ready to close, bring it to a close. One of the most valuable lessons that you learned in your life, and how did it affect your life at that time in today's time?
Okay. One of the most valuable lessons I learned, and it took me 12 years to
Yes.
learn this. When my daddy left the empty closet, that hunted me for 12 years. I was suicidal. I hated my daddy. I wanted to kill him.
Yes.
I just couldn't stand the man. But I discovered that, I think it was Nelson Mandela that said that unforgiveness is like drinking poison and hoping the next person dies. And that's what was happening. I just could not forgive my daddy. But when I was playing college basketball, basketball was my way of shielding the pain, the hurt. It was my way of not dealing with it. So when I got cut from the basketball team in college my sophomore year, I didn't have that shield that I could hide behind. I had to deal with my anger and my self-hatred.
That's right.
And so a friend of mine gave me a Bible. Now, I was at a Bible college, but I would not read the Bible. So he gave me this Bible, this big old purple Bible, and say, man, I just felt like I should give this to you. And when I opened up the Bible, one of the first scriptures I saw was, forgive others as your heavenly Father has forgiven
That's
you.
right.
And I know at that moment, it was God telling me, hey, you have this scar in your life. You have been trying to deal with this scar by yourself year after year. It's time for you to give that to me. And it's just like it reminds me of when Jesus came back and Thomas didn't believe it was him.
That's right.
And he showed those scars. And he said, blessed are you who have seen, but blessed are you who have not seen. So I realized at that moment, it was time for me to forgive my daddy so I could get this scar in my life. And I called him. Amen. I called him. It took me about 5 hours to grab that phone.
Exactly. I know.
So I called him, and my daddy answered the phone. And the first thing I said, hey, Daddy, I want to tell you, I forgive you, and I love you, and I know you left the family, and I hated you for that. And he said, I didn't leave because of you or your sister. I left because your mama and I were not getting along. But that was a defining moment for my life because it was my freedom.
That's right.
I always tell guys in juvenile detention centers or when I go speak that your freedom is in your forgiveness.
That's right.
And if you don't forgive, you will always be chained. And I think it was B. Smedes. I can't even name the pastor right now. He said, forgiveness is to set a prisoner free and to realize that prisoner is you.
That's good.
And I was a prisoner all those years.
Absolutely.
And over the years, God has given me wisdom. He has given me ideas. Yes. And it's like the t-shirt that I created, Scar. And I've had this for a long time. And it always reminded me of Jesus. His scars has left us scarred. And what I mean by that is his scars has left us strong, courageous, ambitious, relentless, resilient, empowered, and driven to live by faith. And that is part of, being a Christian, serving God, realizing that the scars that you have endured in life, if you give those scars to him, he will turn that into strength for you. He will turn that into courage. He will give you ambition. Yes. He will allow you to be resilient. He will allow you to be empowered. You know that through him all things are possible, but you have to give him those scars. But the toughest thing for many of us to do is to forgive those who hurt us. But I promise you, if you forgive who have hurt you, you will be free.
Indeed. It definitely is freedom. That was so powerful. Absolutely. It's so much freedom in forgiveness. And then, the saying go, forgive so that you can live.
Yeah.
You don't live when you don't forgive. And so that is very powerful. And I want you to tell us a little bit about your t-shirt, because that's a t-shirt you've been having for a while. I love that. I told him to order me one in the medium.
Yeah, so, this is a new t-shirt, Scarred. I had this idea for a while, and I got with Alex, my designer, and I told him the vision that I had, that I told him the story, the empty cards, the scar that I had, and the acronym that came up. So it's pretty much what I'm talking about. His scars have left us scarred. He'll leave you strong, courageous, ambitious, relentless, resilient, empowered, and driven to live by faith. And all of us, we need strength, especially when we have tough battles in our life. That's how David was able to defeat Goliath. That's right. He had God by his side, but he had to be courageous. He had to be willing to step up to that line first. You try to step up to a line by yourself, fear can overtake you. But if God is with you, anything is possible. That's right. You got to have ambition. A lot of people try to do a lot of things on their own. I know running a business, a lot of people don't realize that eventually you will have setbacks, you'll have disappointments. I lost $25,000 in business when I first started.
My God.
And if I didn't have God by my side, I would have gave up a long time ago.
That's right.
But that's why he makes sure that you are resilient. You're able to bounce back. You're able to be strong when you have those tough times. You got to think about when Jesus was carrying that cross, he fell over and over again, but he kept on getting up and moving forward. And then you look at being empowered. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You're empowered because God is with you. The Holy Spirit is inside of you. So therefore, nothing can stand before you. And being driven. As Philippians said, we keep on pressing on and not worry about the things that's behind us. But the only way that can happen is you have to put your faith in Christ.
That's all right. I'll give that up, boy. That's some good stuff right there. That is awesome. Powerful. We definitely going to have to get us one of them t-shirts. And y'all going to have to get y'all hands on one of these books. And you want to share with the people how they can get a hold of your t-shirts and your books.
Yeah, you can go to GeneMosley.com. GeneMosley.com. And if you go on my page, just click on shop at the top right, and then you can follow it from there. I made it very simple. And if you need to reach me, if you have any questions, go to Gene, Gene, at GeneMosley.com. And I would love to assist you anyway. You can find me on Facebook at Gene R. Mosley, or at Instagram, Gene_Mosley. And all of the Facebook page leads to all my other social media.
Right. Awesome. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you again for taking out of your busy schedule to come and talk with us and inspire and encourage the people. And in leaving, I want you to just in a few words encourage somebody that's going through what you've been through today. Somebody that might be sitting on their couch feeling like they can't overcome, or they are stupid, or they just a failure. What would you say to them in closing?
Well, what I would say to you is this: you are enough. You know, I spent the majority of my life believing that I had no value. You know, my daddy left. I had to overcome that empty closet eventually. But this is what I discovered, that when you get to worthy, when you can see that God has put gifts inside of you, talents inside of you, that you actually have a purpose on this earth, then you will have impact in other people's lives. And that's what I mean by becoming a valuable success story. Realizing that your life story is all the things you went through is not because God hates you. He wants to use that to help other people. I wrote that book, and that book has been put in every juvenile detention center in Dallas. I did not expect that when I first wrote it. But now there's a kid out there that didn't grow up without a father that does not feel that he's worthy. And he has an opportunity to see somebody else that was in his shoes that's successful. And it's the same thing with you. Whoever you are, I want you to step out in faith knowing that God is with you. He will bless you. He will use you. And all the things that happen in your life are not to harm you, but so he can use you for his kingdom.
Amen. That is awesome. Thank you so much. So powerful. Y'all get y'all hands on this book, and you all learn the 13 principles for becoming a valuable success story and become your own. But y'all, thank y'all so much for tuning in with us. We love y'all, but God loves you more. And as always, miracles and blessings.